Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 836. Now, in today's episode, we're talking about finding your meaning in life. Because we hear it all the time. Live a life of meaning. Try to figure out what you want to do out of life. Trying to have purpose and passions and meaningful experiences through life. And I posted the other day on Twitter to Instagram and Facebook and things. And I said it's a question that I personally struggle with. Like finding meaning out of life. And I usually say the meaning of life is ultimately living a meaningful life, which is obviously so simplistic and easy. But it's like what kind of brings you up. And the reason why I struggle with it is because of expectations. And I think most people struggle with finding meaning out of life because everyone has this subjective label of what living a meaningful life is. And we've been probably taught to assume that, right? To find meaning through other people's subjective meanings of meaning of life, right? If that makes sense. Because we're always told that. All these different opinions. We've got these, especially on things like, I don't really go on Instagram, but when you kind of go through the videos, it's always like these quotes from Alan Watts, who I love. Obviously he's passed, but loved all his stuff. Of people being on these tropical islands or in nature, and it's all about living the best life, a meaningful life. And unfortunately, it sets up this benchmark, this expectation that if I need to live a meaningful life, I must keep up with the Joneses of the Instagram world. Now, I don't know enough about Instagram, but I also know probably a little bit that most of those people aren't living a meaningful life, and they're doing it for maybe ego. And the chances are it wasn't even them in that situation. They've just kind of taken someone else's video, put some audio to it, and they're going, yeah, I'm living my best life. I'm living a meaningful life. I think that's ever so common. And I think sometimes we can look for ourselves if we want to be able to look in the mirror, if we can see ourselves in the mirror sometimes, then we look at it and go, well, maybe I post things on social media to come across a certain way. I think that's something that we can easily fall into, which then creates this echo chamber of how we should live life, how we get meaning out of life. So that was one thing that I struggled with, because even with my family sometimes, what are you doing today? And I'm like, I'm walking. And it's like, well, you should probably get out more. But I love walking. And sometimes it would build this kind of resistance within me going, am I actually doing and living a meaningful life if I'm not doing X, Y, Z, which is supposedly living a meaningful life? So I used to kind of sometimes struggle, and sometimes I still do, because I feel like sometimes I'm missing out on other experiences because I'm so focused on this other thing. But the chances are people will quickly forget us in this life. Just a generation or two. I mean, there's it's not a negative thing. It is to me more of an awakening thing. But at the end of the day, in a couple of generations, we're probably going to be forgotten. Another generation, how much do we know about our great-grandparents or our great-great-great-grandparents? Unless you're really into it, the chances are they're just an echo in time. And I wish we did know more, but to be able to just live in other people's expectations in this present life, and even sometimes if we were to pass on, they probably just didn't, there's just their opinion. It kind of sobers you up a little bit and go, well, if in a way people will forget, we forgot our ancestors, isn't it just more important to be able to do what you want? Like whatever that meaningful thing for you is. It's not about necessarily building a multi-million-dollar business. It's not necessarily about doing charitable work. There's nothing wrong with any of those things, right? If that's on your heart, then that's amazing. Like some people, maybe the meaningful or having meaning in life is being a mother, being a father, being a good sibling, being a good neighbor. Maybe your meaning in life is something that you just enjoy doing every day, which is not monetized, which is not cool, which is not has to be a certain way in doing a hike somewhere in the wild and videoing it. Maybe it's at home and you're just doing a hobby and that you just love doing it. It doesn't have to be your full-time job. Now, if you can monetize it and you have the will and the grit to learn business to be able to make that a reality, because a lot of people forget that, why can we not just be at peace with the so-called smaller things? Because that small thing to someone else doesn't disregard the bigness of the meaning to you. So whatever you enjoy, no matter how big or small, it is still big to you. We only diminish its size of meaning based on our comparison to what other people think it should be, or what we consciously observe and unconsciously assume to then go, well, I should be doing something else. I should be finding more meaning out of these things rather the things that we presently have. Now, you may not even have that yet, which is fine as well. Maybe it's about just having fun, making life a fun experience, being more gentle on the experience. Now, if you ask me when it comes to meaning, honestly, it is my intention, whether it happens or not, my intention is to leave the world in a better place than I found it. I don't know if that will absolutely happen, but I like the philosophy behind it, to leave the world in a better place than you found it. And it so happened that I went through all my anxiety, all my fears, all my limiting beliefs of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of acceptance, or as in not being acceptance, fear of success, fear of being rejected, feeling never enough, worthy, deserving, or good enough. All those things that I went to conquer allowed me to fall in to do what I'm doing today. So all these 3 episodes, the 836 one being this one, all the hypnosis sessions, my main program, or if I've done trainings and seminars in the past, all of those things, written a book. I only got to that place by conquering my own fears. So it was something that I fell into, which lit me up. And that could be a little bit of a takeaway for you as well. Sometimes our greatest challenges, our greatest times of darkness, where everything feels like nothing can get any worse, maybe in those times, once we really dig deep and go, this is my turning point. Yes, then you may fall into a passion. In fact, a lot of people I work with sometimes tend to, not like a high percentage, but once we've let go of their problem, they tend to want to be able to help other people do the same thing, whether it be in a professional or business capacity, or whether it being a therapist or a practitioner of change, and they train with us. Because they go through something and they've gone on the other side when we've done the work to then go, I want to do this. But once again, it's not to say that's your meaning. That doesn't have to be your purpose. It shouldn't be, right? There shouldn't be a needs of necessity. I should be this. I have to do it this way. I've got to do it. What if we just get to live a little? What if we just get to do our passions? To look for the meaning in the smaller things, the meaning in the conversation, the meaning in the times with your friends or your family or your partner, or the meaning in nature, whatever it is. We don't have to put it out there on the world to see. It could be something so sacred, which is just within you, no matter how so-called small it is, because it's big to you. If that fills you up, if that causes you to light up your neurology, then that is amazing. Now, it could be tapped into something greater than yourself, where it be like your higher truth. When I say higher truth, I kind of mean whether you're religious or you're spiritual, or even atheist, I don't really mind, but like connected to something deeper than yourself. That could be a very meaningful connection that we seek for. Like, I remember needing that, or searching for that meaning, feeling that connection with something, and I spent a lot of money trying to find that connection, asking people who had that connection. But the reality of to really shorten that story, because I go in depth about it sometimes, is having spent all this money in trying to find this connection, we can change connection to some form of meaning. I was outside my house, and it was like my 21st birthday 19 years ago, and it was late at night, midnight or gone midnight. Everything got quiet, and like any traffic nearby, just quiet. It was that kind of Oz effect, the eeriness of just silence. And in that moment, I was like, there's nothing to find. There's nothing beyond me which isn't within me. There's nothing I had to acquire to be able to find that connection within myself. Like, it was always there, but I was looking in the wrong places. I was always seeking it out, where really I had to just become it. Now, not to say we shouldn't do the work in terms of developing ourselves and let go of the limiting beliefs we have. Yes, we do that because it uncovers that. It's like the shortcut to it. But when you really talk about living a meaningful life, is to find the meaning in the things that we do, or to explore beyond the territory of our experience right now, which then can lead us into that path. And it can be huge, it can be ever so small, and we shouldn't judge it based on what other people's opinions are of that. So when I say to my family sometimes that I'm doing the work and all those things, I shouldn't feel guilty for not doing the more social stuff. Like, if I enjoy it, if I wake up every day excited for my day, to see what's happening within my business, see the impact I'm trying to create, if that lights up my neurology, then that's great. And then it kind of goes into then communication, because there will be people who will not understand that, because they're coming from their viewpoint of the world, their model of the world, and their model of the world of what meaning is totally different to you. And I say we need to develop the communication is because the chances are you may be with people in your life who will not understand the meaning that you're connecting to. The meaning in photography, the meaning in the walk, the meaning with being a mother or a father, the meaning in striving for making an impact in the world, or creating a business, or being a practitioner, like all the things. Not everyone understands it. So we've then got to come together and start to communicate differently, respect their model of the world of what they think is meaningful, because that's their meaning. And like, you wouldn't want someone to disregard your meaning, hence there can be some tension or conflict there. Well, in the same way, we've got to respect if that's their model of the world of what meaning is, and they just don't see you doing that. It doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means we need to understand that that's where they are and this is where you are. You don't have to agree. That's one of the big things in the world. Like, we feel like we've got to agree with everything. No, you can disagree, but just sometimes respect that that's their model of what meaningful life is. And if you enter a conversation like that, of respect, of entering their model of the world and understanding it, and then inviting them into your world as to what you get from the meaning, Like, think about it. If you haven't got one, maybe it will come to you soon. Maybe you look into what's of important to you in life. That's a great way of finding your meaning and purpose. If you haven't watched my other episodes about finding purpose, go ahead and look for that one. I've done a couple of them, but look for the most recent ones, because it's going to help you find the things which are important to you. But let's say you found something what's important to you, which is meaningful, living a life of meaning, no matter how big or small, because it's big to you. You then dive into, well, what is meaningful to you about it? Because when you get that, you get the reasons as to why it's important. And then when you convey the reasons of the meaning, people will tend to understand it, because all they see is the surface. Oh, you're just doing this habit or this hobby. That's what they objectively see. But if you go, that is true, I am doing this thing, I am operating or carrying out this behavior, but the reason why I do what I do, the reason behind it, is it does X, Y, Z. It makes me feel of purpose. It makes me feel I wake up every single day excited. I get to, even if it's not your job, I get to go home and do this. Like, when you explain the feelings you get, or beyond the feeling, what you really understand from that, then they're going to go, oh, it's not the thing, it's the thing that you get from the thing, the real meaning. You see, a lot of people go, well, I want money, I want abundance. I say this quite often because I find it really, really funny. They go, I want money, I want to be crazy abundant. And I usually go, kind of you do, but you don't. And then I go, what do you mean by that? Well, you don't want money, you want what money gives you. Why do you want money? And then they suddenly go, well, it allows me to travel, it allows me to be with my family, it allows me to give to charities, it allows me to have all the healthy food, the green juices, the personal trainer, it allows me to have security. Now suddenly, that's wholly different from just money. Money was just the vehicle. And in the same way, in finding meaning in the things that you do or you assume, you begin to understand, well, it's not about the thing, it's about what it gives you. Because when I say, I'm going to work today, a lot of people go, work? On a Sunday? You work Saturday and Sunday? I go, yeah. Not maybe the whole day on Sunday, but half a day I usually work on a Sunday. And they go, work? Why are you doing work on a Sunday? But I don't see work as a negative thing. I feel like I'm doing the work. I'm doing something that lifts me up. It's just the connotation of the word, because we see it as a chore or a necessity once again. I've got to go to work. I need to go to work so I get paid. I just have a different representation of what work is. Work to me lifts me up. When people understand that, they go, wow, okay, you do what you gotta do. If you enjoy working on a Sunday, then you work on a Sunday. So it's all about getting the clarity. So number one, let's kind of break it down. It's getting out the idea of what other people think what living a meaningful life is. It's what you bring to life. It's what you create meaning in. And that can be big, but it could be small. What you think is small, or what other people think is small, but really it's meaningful to you. It's far more than just the thing, because then you can tap into those reasons, as I said, like what it really gives you, which kind of hits your soul or it hits your beingness, that lights up your neurology to live life. And remember, other people's expectations of you does not have to be your reality. So other people's expectations of what a meaningful life is not yours. Some will be the same, but they're not fully yours. They're just other people's. So understand their map of the world. That's just their model. But it doesn't have to be you. You don't have to assume that. But it's good to be able to communicate. Like, understand, don't have to agree, but you want to be able to respect their model of what meaning is, but then also understand why your meaning is different and how you can communicate with that in a different way so they understand the reasons and the meanings behind the meaning. When you do that, you're building a connection with someone. You're communicating, you're getting rapport because they start to have a greater understanding. So it's a very vague thing to summarize, right? Like meaning of life, living a meaningful life, finding a meaningful life. It's so ambiguous, it's so vague because you can't put it in a box. So be gentle on yourself when you go to it because it is so transparent and vague. But think about it more of the essence of it. What is the feeling behind it? And where do you find those feelings that if you did more of, would allow you to live a more meaningful life? It doesn't have to be singular, it can be in everything you do. And I think when you come from it from that way, I think your life will be dramatically more meaningful, of course, and therefore less stressful, less expectation, and more being about you, and therefore living a more meaningful life. So I hope you got value from this episode. Now, of course, if you're experiencing you got the meaning, you know what you want to be doing, but you just don't believe you're good enough, worthy, or deserving to make that happen, then of course you can go ahead and apply to work with us on a customized level. There is an investment to it. I try to say that a lot just so I'm very clear in my language. But what you do is you fill out an application and then you go ahead and attend a one-to-one call with us. When you attend that call, we get clear on exactly what you want to let go of, exactly what you want to achieve, what's getting in the way. And then if we can serve you and get you there, we may invite you into the program to let it go within 8 weeks. And that's josephclough.info/talk. josephclough.info/talk. Once again, there's an investment. You got to put time, a couple hours a week into it, and just let go of the hidden root cause, which is creating everything. And we only really work with people, we're very picky because it's very customized. The I'm not good enough, the I'm not worthy, the imposter syndrome, all those kind of fear of rejection. Because I went through that, I know how to let go. I can let go of other things, of course. And I have created many of those options. And you can actually find those options on my free app. You can go to freehypnosis.app and there you can download hundreds of hypnosis sessions for free. The whole app is open for 7 days. No subscription required, just so you can get it out. But if you don't you don't want to invest, say like the $27 per year for the unlimited option, then you'll still get the over 800 episodes and every new episode that I have. So that's all there, and you get the hundreds of hypnosis sessions within the free section. But if you do want to be able to have access, you can create your own custom hypnosis sessions. You can transform in the day, transform in the night. You can create playlists. You have 4-hour sleep sessions in there. And that means you just allow me to guide you to sleep and you transform while you sleep. And on top of that, there are these create your day morning sessions as well. So just 10 minutes in the morning to set up your day the way you would like to. Audio programs so that we go a little bit deeper. And there'll be more of those coming out in the future as well as you proceed into that mini subscription. You can even create playlists. You've got your favorite ones in a free section or favorite ones in the audio program or in the morning meditation or a 4-hour. You need to do like your whole playlist of 4-hour ones if you want. Sleep sessions. You can create playlists. So very, very powerful at freehypnosis.app. And that means you can download it today, utilize it, experience it, even if it's just the free work. And if you are enjoying my free work, if you got any value from this, please leave a review. Because when you do, your words will mean that people will read them and go, I'm going to give this a go. You do not know how many people have reached out in their darkest moments who just stumbled upon the app and said they listened or didn't listen. They looked at some of the reviews, which caused them to download it. And I promise you, some people did not make a decision about their life. They were going to make a very big ending decision. But because of the reviews, just like which you've done if you've done them, so thank you if you have, or if you're about to, you can literally make an impact in the world to that huge level. And I'm very serious about that. I think together we can really help people in such a I would call it a beautiful way of connecting with your, see, there's my meaning, right? There's where I kind of get filled up here, because it's about doing the work for me. I want to do the work, and your words can actually help someone. I know what it's like to be in that dark place, maybe not that crazy dark, but definitely have thoughts in these real dark moments throughout my life, but having overcome them, I want to be able to share that. So if you've got value, please leave a review. Your words do make the difference even. But with that, I look forward to speaking to you a future episode. Remember, you can live a life of meaning on your terms, and that's good news. So many thanks, and goodbye.